Hello and welcome into another episode of Ohio Sports Zone. I'm John Kosas alongside Ben Mitchell, and let's just jump right into it. Ben, the wrestling team is absolutely on fire right now. They have three ranked players, whether it's Cody Walters, Phil Wellington, or Cameron Kelly. They've all been wrestling extremely well, and that is why Ohio has won 5 consecutive dual meets.
Yeah, and flashback to last weekend against head coach Joel Greenlee's alma mater, Northern Iowa, and had the recipe for a perfect setup for head coach Greenlee, who picked up his 200th win, a huge milestone for the Ohio wrestling coach, and then he didn't stop there after his 4th straight win. Like you said, he got his 5th straight win this past weekend, beating Old Dominion 25-13 for that 5th straight victory, and he had results all over the board, starting with Alex Richardson of Ohio Dominican picking up the first victory for the Lions. After that, Ohio took over 3 straight victories for the Bobcats, led by Spartak Chino, Austin Reese, the redshirt freshman, as well as Cody Walters, who has 6 straight W's, and like you said, ranks number 9 in his weight division.
Yeah, Cody Walters won by disqualification. There was a lot of waiting too long. There was delaying, and so they DQ'd the Old Dominion wrestler who was already losing by a major decision. And then you had number 13 ranked Phil Wellington. He ended up winning by a major decision. Those are 2 huge decisions for Ohio. But finally, you have Cameron Kelly. He's not going to disappoint either. He wins by a technical fall. All 3 of Ohio's big 3 wrestlers just continually get better and better, and they're peaking at the right time because tournament time is coming up in the next month.
Yeah, the Ohio Dominican Lions got a couple more wins from Austin Coburn and Chris McKetty, and then Ohio picked up a win from Shakur Laney, and right there was the victory for Ohio, the 25-13 final. And you flash back to last January, the Ohio Dominican Lions got the win on Ohio 25-9, so a little bit of a revenge for this Ohio wrestling team, getting that much-needed win for Joel Greenlee, his 201st victory for this Ohio wrestling squad.
The season seems to be running away from this wrestling team. Like I said, they're just under a month away from nationals, but another team that's running very well is the track team. The track team had 3 different players run and have personal records in their last meet. The first one was Haley Stegmiller. Stegmiller had a 2:14.61 800. That's a personal best by about 3 seconds. 2:17 was her last best 800. She finished 3rd in that meet. Alyssa Atkinson ran a 10:03 3000. It's just 200 meters under a 2 mile, and she ended up knocking 40 seconds off of her 2 mile time. That's absolutely outstanding. It's like sprinting the last 200 meters of that race. Finally, Tessa Wiegand ran just under 5 minutes in her mile time. That was another personal best, and again, these times are dropping already. It's the first month of competition for this lady track team, and they're already getting personal best. I think they are going to be a force to be reckoned with all the way in May when they have their tournament time.
Yeah, you had several season bests and personal bests all along the board. Alyssa Atkinson led 2 other Bobcats in that 3,000-meter run, 2 personal records. Sophomore Christina Sees finished 8th with a 10:15, and then Peyton Atkins finished 10th with 10:19. Both of those were personal bests for those runners. And then in other areas, senior Chandra Buckler got a season best in the 60-meter hurdles, placed 5th. Or 6th in the high jump, and then you had Christine Wankel had a season best in the 60-meter hurdles, finishing 7th with 8:96. So yeah, a lot of season best and personal best for this Bobcat track team. They're back in action this weekend in the Marshall Invitational.
Yeah, they're in action this weekend against Marshall Invitational. Hopefully they'll fare as well as the swimming and diving team, who just finished 1st at Marshall this last weekend, and there were a number of big things to talk about. The 400 IM relay ended up coming in 1st, along with the 400 free relay. Stephanie Gajurka finished 1st in the 200 IM, and you have a host of others who came in 1st in their events, and that's why it was a blowout against Marshall.
Yeah, the swimming diving team dominated in this Marshall Invite, finishing with 356 points. The second place team, Marshall, who was the host, finished with just 277. So you really saw this Ohio swimming team make huge strides in this invitational. And yeah, you had other first place finishes from Addie Ferguson, who finished 1st in the 100-yard butterfly, and Emily Davis, who finished 1st in the 500-yard freestyle. So a lot of first place finishes for this Ohio swimming team. They finished in great position, and their next event is February 24th through the 27th, and that's in Bowling Green for the Mid-American Championship. So lots of pressure coming up for this Ohio swimming team, but they're in good position winning that Marshall Invitational.
Ben, they're in solid position. Normally you ask for a team to have people place in the top 3. Instead, they're getting a lot of gold medals. That's huge for this swimming team. We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to talk all about men's basketball.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello? That's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
Clean kitchen surfaces, utensils, and hands with soapy water. 1 in 6 Americans will get sick from food poisoning this year. Keep your family safer. Check your steps at foodsafety.gov.
Welcome back into Ohio Sports Zone, where we're now joined by Scott McDonald, and we'll talk a little Ohio men's basketball. So, Scott, this Ohio men's basketball team, after getting off to a so-so start, took a little bit to find their footing, have come on as of late, winning their 4 of their last 5 games, picking up a MAC road win where they only won 1 last season. Tell me what happened this past week.
Well, they played against Ball State, who's a middle of the MAC team. Now, this Ball State team was 15-8 coming in. So they are a good team. They do kind of pose a threat to the rest of the MAC. So getting this win at Ball State is huge. And you look at who contributed. You had Kenny Kaminsky get 20 points. And that's huge for him as well because he has been incredibly inconsistent this year. Whether he's hitting 1 for 9 from three-pointers, because that's his main aspect of the game is the long ball. He just has not been able to get it going so far this year. So with that 20 points, that's a great sign for things to come for the sophomore forward from Medina. Also, if you look at Antonio Campbell, who has been one of the most consistent performers in all of the MAC, he got his, who knows how many double-doubles he had. It's hard to count at this point. He had 26 points and 10 rebounds. If he can stay out of foul trouble, that's been his biggest concern, then he is going to be a force in the remaining 7 games until MAC play.
Scott, this Ohio team had a 5-game stretch that was critical to where they were going to be in the MAC. Right now they're tied for 4th with 4 other teams at 6-5. They have a game against Buffalo coming up, and that game will be against the Buffalo that has won 7 and lost 4. They're just 1 game in front of this Ohio team. The other 2 are also in the East. That's Kent State, who's also at 7-4, and Akron, who is at 9-2. How big was it that this Ohio team won 4 of those 5 games, only falling to Akron, who seems to be the class of the MAC once again?
Yeah, you said Akron is the best team in the MAC. They already have their 20th win of the season. So getting that win and getting this win against Buffalo Saturday is going to be huge. That's going to give us a momentum. Maybe we can push this streak to 3 games. And with that win, we can potentially even clinch a first-round bye in the MAC tournament. And, who knows what that can do. Rest up the players, get some guys even more healthy, and it can do wonders for us.
Yeah, one thing that's been pretty evident with this team is the growth, and head coach Saul Phillips said it himself. He said the growth has been incremental this season. I've seen it myself on tape, but he said now it's the world starting to see it. Now, a big difference for this run has been Ohio's shooting, and in the game against NIU last Saturday, they shot 53% from the field, 40% from 3, and then in this game against Ball State, they shot 48%. So do you see this as a trend for the Bobcats that's just going to fizzle away, or is this Coach Phillips putting in his kind of style and making this team improve? Like you had sophomore guard Jerron Simmons recorded his 5th double-double in the game against NIU, shot 7-10. Jordy Darda shot 6-9 from the field. So is this just a trend, or are the Bobcats moving towards having a very high shooting percentage this season?
Well, you certainly hope it's just not a trend. You want to see this play continue. And it's hard to gauge really at this point because of the inconsistent play that happened, the first few games in the first half of the season. Because we could put up 80 points against one of the top teams in the MAC, or we could only put up 49 against one of the bottom feeders. So it's hard to really tell. And if this NIU and Ball State game is any indication of what is to come, then the rest of the MAC should probably take notice.
Scott, Jerron Simmons is a very interesting player for this Ohio team. He seems to get 7 or 8 assists every single night, so he's productive in that sense. But on the other hand, his shooting is either on or it's off. He'll have nights where he scores 20. He'll have nights where he's 3 of 8 from the field and scores 6. That was what happened against Ball State for him. Is that a young player consistency type of an issue, or is that something that is just a result of being a point guard on a team that moves the ball as well as Ohio has this season?
Well, you don't want it to be a experience thing, because Ron Simmons does have some experience coming in this season playing at Houston for a year. But at the same time, he does move the ball. He's not a shoot first kind of guy. He's looking to get Kaminsky on the corner. He's looking to get Campbell in the post. So he can have some spotty numbers, like you said, only 6 points against Ball State. And as long as he's contributing to the offense in some way with the assists, with the no-look passes or the bounce passes, however it may be, then that's what you really want from a point guard. And he is a true point guard.
We've talked a little bit about the standings. Akron, of course, up top in the MAC East, sitting at 9-2, 20-4 overall. But then you've got Kent State, Buffalo, and Ohio, all sitting within 3 games of that top spot. Now, do you see Ohio being able to catch Akron, who obviously is well above the best in the MAC, or do you see them sitting patiently there at 4th or 3rd and not making a big run and saving it for the MAC tournament? And who do you see having to step up if they are going to make the run for the top of the MAC East?
Well, if you really want to get to the MAC East champion, then you have to have dynamic players score all around. That's why I think Treg Setti he has one of the most improved players for this Ohio team. Last year he came in with 5.1 points per game and only 3.3 rebounds per game. This year he's doubled his points per game with 10.3 and 4.7 rebounds per game. So yes, if Ohio is going to catch Akron or have any chance in the MAC championship, then we're going to need everyone to contribute. Treg Setti, Antonio Campbell, Ron Simmons, Kaminsky, Jordan Dardis, and everyone off the bench.
We'll see if Treg Setti and the Bobcats can continue to improve. Once again, their next game is Saturday against the Buffalo Bulls in Buffalo. We're going to hit another commercial break. When we come back, we're going to move to the ice, just like outside, to talk about the hockey team.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
I didn't see you there. Ever wonder what really happens in the world? Ever wonder what the media is keeping from you? Well, look no further than AVW's News Time for all your answers. Ohio University's most reliable source of unreliable news. All news, all the time, none of the facts. All made possible by AVW Productions. You can trust us. We're professionals.
Hello, welcome back to Ohio Sports. I'm John Kosis alongside Ben Mitchell. The Ohio hockey team has been on fire as of late, and our own reporter, Alex Utano, sat down with head coach Sean Hogan to talk to him about some of the seniors on the squad.
Back on your long season, were there any weekends that stood out to you?
I think, our weekends against Iowa State, where we swept all 4 games from Iowa State, were important ones. I think we played well. The majority of our weekends, I felt pretty good about the way we played. I think the first weekend back with a split with Lindenwood, we played well. I thought we should have won both of those games. That weekend sticks out for sure. On the other side of it, I think our Thursday night loss to Arizona was something that we probably, looking back on, wanted to win that game, and whether or not, things were against us in terms of some of the bad calls, but whatever, we have to win the hockey game. But great experience going to Arizona State and playing against a team at that level. Really, we had to up our game, so that was fun. But mostly looking forward to the national tournament and playoffs, and we'll focus in that direction.
Looking back to your weekend against Arizona and Arizona State with the shortened time you had to prepare, did you focus on anything different in practice to prepare for these two squads?
Actually, we focused our entire time. We focused on Arizona. We focused on what they did, and that's why it was disappointing to have that loss on a Thursday night. But yeah, it was a short week for sure, and it was a lot of long travel, and it's taken us a couple weeks to recuperate. Actually, in terms of some of our guys are sick, but I mean that's just part of it, right? You got to fight through that, and you got to find a way to win. So,
How did it feel to return to Arizona and play against the team you coached for a few seasons?
It was interesting, right, to be on the away bench after being the head coach there for 3 years. So that part of it was different. That part of it was interesting. You want to win, being the guy coming in there, but it was an exciting game. And it was good to see a lot of the same people that I didn't get to see for a long time. So that part of it was good.
At the end of the season, you and your team will be bidding farewell to the seniors of Ohio. Tell us, what did they mean to this team, and what did they bring to the locker room?
Harry as the captain is a true leader. The guys look up to him not only for his ability on the ice, but does a great job in the locker room of getting the guys motivated. And I always tell him is that when I talk to Harry, I meet with him every week. I want it to be his team too, right? I want it to be him, as a captain. It's not just the coach's team. I want it to be the captain's team, and he's really taken that to heart. And they've taken after a little bit of his personality, which is good. And then guys like Pekka and Ramey and Diego and Vinny who just want nothing more than this program to be successful. And they work so hard every single day, and it's going to be very difficult to fill the shoes of guys like that for sure.
Thank you, Alex, for that reporting. And yeah, Coach Hogan, a very integral part of this team's success this season, his second year as head coach, and he's moved this team to a 27-7-1 record, sitting at number 7 in the country. Now, they have had that number 7 ranking for 6 weeks in a row now, not making too many moves, but Coach Hogan has been a very big part of this team's success, as well as the seniors. Michael Harris has been a very big part, registering 19 goals and 19 assists. So you got to credit the seniors as well as Coach Hogan for a lot of success this season.
Yeah, and not only the seniors, but man, that first line for Ohio, I know we talk about it all the time, but they are absolutely dominant top to bottom. You can start off with Joe Breslin, who has 16 goals this year to go along with 25 assists for 41 points, or Michael Harris, who's just behind him with 19 and 19 for 38 points. And then you have Patrick Spelsey with 12 and 25 to go along for 37 points on the season. Those 3 guys hitting almost 120 points on the year are truly what the difference has been in a good team and a bad team for this Ohio hockey team.
Yeah, and just getting a chance to watch them, you realize the chemistry that these 3 put out there on the ice. I mean, it's developed over 2 seasons now where these 3 have gotten the chance to play together, and you've really seen this first unit blossom for the Ohio Bobcats, led by Michael Harris, the captain. You really see a lot of great puck movement from that first line, and then you see things trickle down to the back lines from that first line. A lot of leadership. When things don't go their way, they're still up, and that's one thing in the locker room where when Ohio goes down last weekend, they were down 4-1 against Illinois after Friday's first period. You knew not to panic because they have those leaders in the locker room, especially led by that first line of Michael Harris, that you know will turn this team around and get them in the right direction. We had an interview with Cody Black during that intermission, and he said, I know we're fine. We've got the leaders back there, and we've got Coach Hogan to put things in the right direction. So a lot of great leadership on this squad.
Last week, Ohio played Illinois, and they swept them. This week, Ohio's going to have another tough opponent against a CSCHL opponent, and that would be Robert Morris. There's a big guy in net right there. It's Justin Ball. He has 4 shutouts on the season, a 2.34 goals against average, and a 92.1 save percentage. Ben, what does Ohio have to do to crack that shell?
Well, yeah, it's got to be offensive pressure. They like to get a lot of shots. We've seen them put up 60, 70 shots per night and, over 100 in any given weekend. So they've got to put those shots up. And, yeah, if they get two wins this weekend followed by 2 Lindenwood losses, they could take the CSCHL regular season title. So a lot at stake for the Ohio Bobcats this weekend.
There is a lot. Once again, Friday night and Saturday night puck drop will be at 7:30 for both of those games. We are going to hit one last commercial break. When we come back, we have a Valentine's Day special just for you guys at home.
Looking for these? You drive Buzzed. Could be one very expensive ride.
First, you gotta make bail. Then pay me to get your car back.
Your insurance premiums will go through the roof.
And my legal fees just keep adding up. All told, it could end up costing you $10,000.
Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Toucan Sam.
What's it take to get some hunky construction equipment up in here, huh?
I hope you're joking.
I think we need to follow the advice of Jesus and get down, girl. Go ahead, get down.
Please state your name and the role you're auditioning for.
Hi, my name is Christopher Walken.
What if it is Loch Ness Monster?
I mean, I got some shopping to do at Whole Foods, but I'll join them.
Welcome, my captain.
I'm right then. I knew I was right.
Welcome back into Ohio Sports Zone, where we're going to slow things down a little bit, flick on some Barry White, and talk about our Valentines, players who have stood out to us this season so far. And John, why don't you lead us off?
Well, Ben, I think if you're going to talk about Ohio Sports Zone Valentines, you have to lead off with the big man, Tony Campbell. This year, he is a double-double machine, and in those last 3 games, he has 2 to go along with 16.5 points per game and a 9.2 rebound per game average this entire season. I could see him being bold later on in this relationship with Ohio Sports Zone, becoming a senior who is a MAC Player of the Year candidate.
Yeah, and sticking on the basketball court, I'm going to show a little love to a Ohio freshman and one from my hometown, so I kind of had to give it that. It's Jordy Dardis for the Ohio Bobcats, a freshman who has made a huge impact for this team. I'm not sure a lot of people would have known his name 2 to 3 weeks ago, but he has made a huge impact since December 12th. He's played over 30 minutes a game. He's got a season-high 24 points and a 90-81 loss against Florida State. That was his come-out game as a freshman, where a lot of people said, whoa, this guy's got the talent to compete. And then he also scored 17 points twice. He had 15 twice. He's had 14, 12. I mean, he's been scoring for this Bobcats team. He's got to work a little bit on his assists and rebounds, only just over 1 in both those categories, but just under 9.4 points per game. So he's having a very good season, and one that I have taken notice of.
The next Ohio Sports Zone Valentine to give out could go to the entire women's basketball team, but Ohio Sports Zone likes to keep it exclusive, so they're going to specifically give it to Kiara Lampkins. Kiara Lampkins scored her 1,000th career point for the Bobcats just a little bit ago, and she is averaging 14.3 points per game this year. She is only the 15th player to score 1,000 points for the Bobcats.
Well, in my second Valentine, I'm actually going to get greedy here and hand out a bunch of them, 3 actually. And we talked about the first line for this Ohio hockey team. It's the second line that I'm going to give some Valentines out to. Matt Rudin, Liam Geither, and Matt Hartman, the speed line, the energy line for this Ohio team. All 3 have registered over 24 points this season, and they sit at 4th, 5th, and 6th in points respectively. That's kind of been ironic for this hockey team. The front line has 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, and the second line has 4th, 5th, and 6th. But you can't count out this second line. They have been very good all season long, led by Matt Hartman and Matt Rudin, who both have 16 goals and a plus 19 rating for Matt Rudin. I mean, this line has been very good, and the passing has been fantastic. Hartman has used his energy to create a lot of turnovers. Liam Geither has used his speed to create mismatches on the edge. I mean, it has been a very good line, and one that deserves some recognition and some Valentines from the people here at Ohio Sports Zone.
Yeah, Ben, it's so important to talk about the energy that they bring to the team, and I think that's going to be important for Ohio Sports Zone in the future. My final Valentine that I want to talk about is Laura Dawson. Laura Dawson's on the swim and diving team. We talked about how significant that win at Marshall was for this Ohio University swim team, and it has been such a roller coaster ride, not only for this Ohio swim team, who last year, remember, they only had 1 diver. They were really struggling to come in and get points during meets, but for Laura Dawson as well. This is a girl who came from the UK to Ohio University, just a little bit more than the average 3-hour trip from Cincinnati or Cleveland. And now she's here, she's competing. This season alone, she has 6 first-place finishes for this Ohio Bobcats team. In addition to that, she has finished in the top 3 12 times. That may not sound super significant, but Ben, if you think about it all in all, she's only competed in 15 races for this Ohio University swim team. She has been an MVP candidate
for the MAC and for Ohio University.
Yeah, obviously been a huge factor, and I'm going to finish up my Valentine's and go out to the 18th green, where I'll be talking about a Peyton, but not the Peyton you're thinking of, the Super Bowl winner. Peyton White, the junior golfer for Ohio University, who sits at third in the MAC right now in average score per round at just over 72. His low of the year was 66, so he can obviously come out there and shoot with the best of them in the MAC conference. And this past weekend, he won all 3 matches he played in for Ohio at the Earl Yestingmeyer match play event. I mean, when I'm out there swinging the golf club, I'm usually in the beach, in the sand, so I got to envy players who go out and shoot 66 and average a 72. So this is one guy that I got to give some respect for and handing out my Valentine to last Peyton White.
I might shoot a 66 on the front 9. This Ohio golf team is actually in a lot of trouble. So Peyton, performing as well as he has been a significant thing for them. Ohio finished just 6th this last week at the Earl Yesterminger Invitational, and it was disappointing because they lost to the number 6 seed Dayton. This Ohio team could use more players like Peyton.
Yeah, and both golf teams got to get a little work in. Both squads didn't finish up where they would have wanted to. The Ohio women's, I believe, finished 9th in their respective invitational. So both teams got a little work to do. We didn't get a chance to cover them in A block, but I did want to show a little love to Peyton White, who, yeah, unlike the rest of the Ohio men's golf team, has had a fantastic season and one worth recognizing. And Ohio gets him back for another year. So look out, Peyton. You might be getting another Valentine in the mail.
Man, how big would that be? 2 Valentine's Day shout-outs.
It'd be a record.
Oh, yeah. Now, that is all the time we have here at Ohio Sports Zone for this week. Remember, there are a couple of big games coming up this weekend. Saturday, Ohio's basketball team in the men's department will be facing off against the Buffalo Bulls. If Ohio wins, they're up to 3rd in the MAC because they'd have the tiebreaker over Buffalo. You'll definitely want to watch that. It's going to be broadcast by ESPN. Be sure to join us next Thursday at 9 p.m. For Ben Mitchell, I'm John Kosis. Good night and happy Valentine's Day, everybody.